G'day, it's time to talk about The Leftovers on AfterBuzz TV.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey guys, welcome back to AfterBuzz TV for The Leftovers After Show. That's right, we're going to take on this episode and break it down for you, get through all the theories, all the craziness, all the depression and sadness, and I don't even know what I'm feeling anymore. That is The Leftovers. I'm your host, Zach Wilson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @ZachWilson. I got a dancing Roxy Striar with me.
Took me a minute to find my rhythm, but now I'm there. Now I am there. You guys can find me at Roxy Striar. Oh, I'm losing it. Take it, Kelly.
Hey, I'm Kelly McInerney. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at HollyWeirdo.
And I'm Steve Kaufmann. You can find me on Twitter at Steve Kaufmann. That is Kaufmann.
All right, guys, let's dive into G'day Melbourne, which is the title of this week's episode. Oh my God.
Do you think best won the season?
So far.
I don't know. It's so hard to say because, like, last week's episode was so phenomenal, but they're just such, like, that's the beauty of this show is because of the style of it, because of the way that they approach the writing each week. I almost feel like they can't be compared. What did you guys think?
I think this is the best of the four. I'm gonna wait for all eight
Yeah.
to determine.
Okay, I'm not saying is this the best of the season for ones you haven't seen yet. I just mean so
This
far.
one's
This is the
way
best
better
one.
than episode 6. No,
Yeah, I think maybe. Honestly, I think I would have said the same thing week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4, so I
Yeah.
could be just a big fat liar. But this one was so good.
I think it's just that
I think also, in a weird way, like how they have Take On Me, like a fun song to make it like seem so dramatic and like, I think that really plays a part on why it made me like it.
Yeah, I think the music specifically, the Take On Me is, I guess I found a deeper meaning in that song that probably isn't there.
What did you find? Take us on your
Great
journey,
question.
Steve.
Do you really mean that?
I mean, I'm a little scared,
No, I think
but I want to know.
the general idea of Take On Me meaning really jump in and understand me. I found deep. That I did not find any depth in this song before that.
We're talking away. I don't know what I'm to say. I'll say it anyway.
What are you going to say anyway?
Today's another day to find you shying away. I'll be coming for your love. Okay?
So is this... This could be about the love between a father and a daughter. This could be about the love between a boyfriend and girlfriend, a husband and a wife.
Father and son.
So many meanings, Steve. So
Yeah.
little time.
I mean, I think the big lyrics are I'll be gone in a day or two. Needless to say, I'm odds and ends. I'll be stumbling away, slowly learning that life is okay.
What possibly could you be referring to?
Maybe how life is not okay right now.
And how people were gone in a second?
Yeah. And in a day or two, maybe more.
Yep.
How did you guys feel about Nora and Kevin's relationship at the top of this episode?
Going in versus coming out.
Going in, yeah. Like going into this, would you guys have said that they are in a happy relationship? Or at least a like good relationship?
I think you have people who stumble together and people who fly together and people where one stumbles and one flies. I think that you want to try to be on the same page, but definitely Nora and Kevin have been stumbling together. And actually, I don't even know if they've been stumbling together or if they've both just been stumbling simultaneously. And that's a problem. I think that what we saw, her walking in, him with the bag over his head, her not being straightforward with him about why they were going to Australia, him not being straightforward with her about why he wanted to come. For all of those reasons, this is not a healthy relationship currently. Now, do I root for them? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
But do I think that right now they're strong? Clearly, this episode said no.
But I think it's a good testament to the writing that if you had asked that last week, how's their relationship? Oh, they're talking baby. Everything seems fine.
Yeah.
That
Well,
it
she
was
laughed in his face
Yeah.
when he said baby.
Right.
But they up until this episode, it felt like they had a pretty solid relationship on a bedrock of truth. And then all of a sudden, like, no, you're right. This is all burning to the ground.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that way.
So last week you would have felt that they weren't in a strong place?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh.
Yeah, there were cracks all over the place.
Yeah, but they were okay with it, I feel like. You know? I feel like they were like, yeah, we're both dealing with shit, but we've got each other. That's what I felt until this episode. And, like, when he was like, we don't talk anymore, I like how in the beginning of the episode that you don't even see them talk, her giving the explanation of, like, what's happening. They're having like, you don't even see them talk anymore, you know? Because they do the voiceover.
Yeah, and she
while
gave,
she's having...
yeah, and she, like, very minimal explanation other than, like, yeah, 20 grand duct taped.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I that was a great moment of just like, why didn't you just give me half?
Because they don't talk, yeah.
Yeah.
It sort of hurts it hurt me at least to see Kevin's like reactions through all of this, because he's so invested in this relationship. He is all in. And
But is he? Because then who does he call when something bad happened? Like, you know?
Well, to me, that wasn't like he called his ex-wife. To me, that was he called his psychiatrist ex-wife.
Zach, you think that he's more invested in this relationship than she is?
By the end of this, I think he was.
He walked
He's the
out
one
on
that
her,
yeah.
and he left her there, and he said he was alone and not with anybody, and she was in a burning building.
Oh,
He is gone.
I'm trying. Sorry, I was saying like before the fight, like before Australia, I think he was much more invested in the relationship than she was.
Really? I don't feel that way. Where do you see it? Where she wasn't reciprocating and he was really giving his all?
I mean, the baby thing I think was a huge reveal.
I don't think you need to want a baby to be able to be invested in something.
But that felt like a Band-Aid, and I think
yeah.
with our perspective now, I think Nora feels like a Band-Aid for him. That because the idea of if he's a paranoid schizophrenic, because that's what science tells him, the easiest way to do that is don't listen to the voices, don't indulge the voices, live a normal life. And Nora would be part of that for him. I have a house, I have a girl, I have everything, a job, I have everything a normal life will give me. And she's just part of one giant Band-Aid. Whether he has to fix paranoid schizophrenia or being a prophet is to be determined. But she seems like a Band-Aid now.
I feel like they're both 1 foot out the door. I feel like neither one of them are invested to the level they should be, but it's happening simultaneously. I don't feel like Kevin's giving her all he got and she's like, no, sorry. I feel like they both really have, bit the big one on this.
Maybe that's fair. I think his point that she didn't necessarily react to his like illness the way that he thought he needed was maybe that's where I misspoke a little bit, but like he wants to be all in, and but he's afraid to open himself up that final amount to her, like he hides the duct tape thing. Mm-hmm. He didn't want to tell her that he was seeing a dead person again, because she didn't react she hasn't reacted the way that he maybe needed when when he brought her in that way.
The last time he really brought her in, he was right. She freaked out.
But that was also, they were kind of new in the relationship.
And how hypocritical that now later on, she left, he's just complaining about her leaving, and he walks out on her.
Yeah.
I think that they're tit for tat. And that's not a good place to be in a relationship where you're like, well, you did it to me. Suck on that,
Yeah.
Brent William Henry in the chat, and thank you to everybody who's joining us live. If you're listening to this later, you can join us at 9 o'clock Pacific time at AfterBuzz TV YouTube channel.
Sundays.
Sundays. Specifically Sundays. But he asks, they both kind of want to die, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or they're not afraid of dying, I don't think. I think that's the thing.
Well, because they see death as an answer, and not necessarily like the question to like suffering as much as like, well, what happened to the 2%? What is faith? The greater themes of the show like finding meaning in life, and we'll all find meaning in life when life's over, presumably.
I think the most important word about his question, because it is a very interesting one, is they both kind of is the most important part. They don't totally want to die, or they would be dead. Unless Kevin can't be, and then that's a different discussion. For all we know, he's actually maybe tried. We're unsure about that. But if Nora wanted to be dead, I'm pretty confident she would be. So I feel like it's that weird seesaw place where you see the benefits of both staying around and not, and that makes me feel for them a lot. And how when you're teetering on that, can you really be there for somebody else when you just don't even know how to be there for yourself?
Yeah, I think they're both just trying to fit in. Like you said, that she's a Band-Aid for him. I think he's a Band-Aid for her too. Like they're both just trying to live a normal life. But then there's like cracks, like you said, like how she chose to break her arm. Like sometimes you just can't control being normal, you know, and the crazy comes out for both of them.
Yeah, I agree with that. Matthew Power in the chat, Nora says, quote, "Here's hoping," when that guy says 6 days left. Partial joke, partially not, I think.
Yeah.
I think she was trying to. That felt like she was trying to fit in.
I mean, let's track Nora's storyline in this episode, because this was her. We now know unauthorized sting operation. We thought that she might have been. We had all these crazy theories last week about how she was like she might have been working with the Australian version of the DSD, and she's like working like it's like international cooperation to catch these guys. No, this is just Nora off on her own, which admittedly is a much more interesting plot line.
Yes.
But so she goes to get on the bus, and she's handed this baby by this woman. Now the tease at the end was this a test? Do you guys think that this like weird organization was actually testing her?
I don't think this was the test. I think this was a coincidence.
I agree
Callie,
with
Roxy?
you. I think that this wasn't the test either, and I think similar to Kevin in the moment believing that was Evie with his whole heart, I think that's Nora when you just are positive of something that nobody could say otherwise. I think she thinks that baby moment was them, and I just think it was a woman with a baby who needed help.
Yeah.
And Nora's way too nice to say no.
Yeah, I think it was pure coincidence because of the situation. I feel like they weren't in on it. But good job for you guys for pointing out the question.
Yeah.
You predicted the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What exactly did we predict? I don't remember.
Well, we were talking about how the guy who burned himself in last week's episode was likely coming from the radiation people, and they got turned down.
Did we? I don't even remember us doing it, but kudos to us. Or probably Steve.
kill
That
it.
sounds like a Steve theory.
I think she was, yeah. I was going to let the whole group take
I think I was in on
credit.
it with you.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it was you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give you some credit, but I think I have some too.
Well,
little bit.
whoever it was
was a
Roxy
group
and
effort.
Steve, well done. But yeah, I mean, well, like we can talk about that because like after she goes through all the testing and like the medical examination, she gets put in a box.
Yes.
One of the writers was tweeting today that her getting put in the box was an allusion to season 1 with the shippable bodies.
Oh, I thought about it to season 1 with the daughter in the refrigerator.
I saw that too.
Oh yeah.
Both of those things.
That's
from
what it made
season
me
1,
feel
yeah.
like, that claustrophobic get inside. made
And
me
also
keep
like
going.
Oh, yeah.
And also the idea that was a gripping scene because it was she felt safe up until it's time to come out, and then she couldn't get out.
Right.
But yeah, both of those things.
What's so weird about this, though, Zach, going back to what we were just talking about, is that the man from last week said no.
Yeah.
And Nora said yes. And neither of them are able to go through this process. So are you...
Yeah,
Is
so
this-
quick recap from last week's episode for anybody who like doesn't remember that scene. When Kevin Sr. was wandering the desert and came up to the man in the Volkswagen who was getting out, pouring gasoline all over himself in the car, he asked Kevin Sr., would you kill a baby? A slightly different phrasing of the question. Would you kill a baby if it would cure cancer? And Kevin Sr. said, no, man, of course not. And it's like the guy in the Volkswagen who was killing himself said, that's what I said. And he was also yelling, they wouldn't take me.
So one of a few things happened here. Either A, homie's lying, and he didn't say that, and he said the other thing.
He's trying to save face now.
Yeah, but now he's trying to save face. B, the actual answer you answer has nothing to do with whether they take you.
That seems
Yeah,
like
I think so.
C, the only people they take are people who end up not being able to answer the question.
Ooh.
And it's not a yes or no. It's a that's too hard of a question. I refuse to answer it.
Or they ask a billion questions
Yeah.
like we did last week. Like,
Yeah, there's probably a D, E, F, and G, but those are the ones that I've come up with.
I definitely think it's the way they act, because I think they were kind of not impressed, but like surprised at how calm she was getting out of the box. Like she wasn't scared, and how she kind of didn't. She asked a few questions about that question, but just
Do you guys remember the stick game growing up? Do you guys ever do this in school? Really quick, when there was this thing that went around for like, I think we were maybe in fifth grade, and you would say to somebody, can you do the stick dance? And if they said, watch me, I can do the stick dance, stick dance, stick dance, and they would do the sticks in all different ways. And then you would ask somebody else, and if they didn't say watch me, they didn't know how to do the stick dance, no matter if they repeated your exact moves or whatever it was. And that always made me think about, like, what is it surrounding the question that it possibly could be? Is it that she didn't know the right answer, the guy before her hadn't given her the secrets? Is it that, she just didn't listen carefully enough to the question? Is there part of it that we're not understanding?
or I guess there's a way. I think everyone answers that question. No one answers that question just yes or no. Everyone works that question out like it's a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire final answer. So her reasoning was babies die all the time. It always happens, and I get to cure cancer. The baby won't suffer. Like they're
not hers.
Yeah, and it's not that.
Maybe
I think
it was-
whatever that thought process is gives them insight into who that person is. And in her case, that might have been enough to be like, oh, she's way too pragmatic. She doesn't actually believe us.
Here's my question though to that is, why do they care? Like what is it that makes the, like they say that the majority of the things that they've done, they're doing medical examinations to make sure that you're healthy. They do like a sort of mental evaluation besides this, just to make sure that you're sane, and you're not like a psychotic person or schizophrenic or anything like that, where like you might be more prone to suicide. Those are those checks I understand, but this seems like a moral question. And why does this group of scientists care about the morality of the people that they are sending through?
Because perhaps they care about the people that are there.
Yeah, maybe they're using their own system of like judgment.
Right.
What do you guys think? Like, what do you think is the need? Why do you think there's a need for them to pose this moral dilemma? Impossible to answer 100% question.
To be fair, because the only frame of reference we have for the answers to this question were the guy in the BMW last week and then Nora, and they both gave different answers. If the answer wasn't...
Or we think they both did.
Yeah, like, we have to assume they both did. Maybe for him, he had to answer yes, absolutely, because that was the binary answer they're looking for. But with Nora, they were looking to see her thought process because they suspected knowing she's an investigator, they suspect that she's trying to expose them. That's one theory. The other theory is that they decide that based on other things, and the question is just to mess with you.
I think it's just they base it on your reaction to the question, like kind of what you said. Just
and like she was offended by that question.
Yeah.
And then she was offended by like it doesn't matter of her follow-ups. Of like, if you want me to answer your effing question, you will answer my questions.
Yeah.
And maybe they didn't like, I don't know.
What is the chance that actually she did pass and this is part of the process?
This is another step in the test.
Right.
I mean, these people have been real. This could be a way to root out if she's really serious, like to come back to her and be like, that was the test. Like, now we can go again. Because like, I see Nora being like, no, F you for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But part of the test is you have to truly trust them, because there is a lot of faith just in that question. Because that question assumes you can tell that like whoever's asking it can tell the future. So it might be a certain test of faith to the parameters of the question.
Unless it's something, as the chat seems to think now, that it wasn't the question and they were just using that as an excuse, that she's actually pregnant. She says that she has an IUD, but I don't trust anything in this world.
No, I've had friends who have been pregnant while having IUDs before. It's definitely possible. And it is interesting. That's a good point, because why else did they share that? Did they harp on it so long? They talked about kids so many times this season. And also, we've seen that her and Kevin are very sexually active.
Yeah.
So, interesting.
And the blood test, they specifically made mention of the blood test and pregnancy to bring about the IUD. And they say she has to take the IUD out for the radiation. That makes sense. But
why not tell her that, though?
No, and pregnancy tests are instant. But did they do a P test on her?
I mean, you can test for that in blood.
Can you? Okay, then.
Yeah, no, that's very testable in blood. I don't know. Maybe they don't feel like it's their mission to tell people that, but they do know that they can't bring her through if she's pregnant, or they can't morally bring her through if she's pregnant.
But then why ask that question? If the thing is because you're pregnant, you can't go on it. Just stop there. Don't ask the question. You know.
I mean, that's fair. It's a fair point.
Misdirect her.
Here's the other thing that's going on here is, do you guys think that Nora actually wants to go through?
Maybe.
I think at first she was like, I don't know, but now I think she does.
When she says, I won't back down or I won't get cold feet, man, that was believable.
I still saw that as her thinking she can take them down.
Me too, partially.
I think this question, the more I think about it, the more I think they tell everyone after their answer to this question, we're not moving forward with you, to make a literal test of faith that when they do come back, it's like a door in the face. Tactic. Also, it would also make sense if they then ask before you go through, similar to what happened to Mark Lynn Baker, who did go through since last week. You now have to find someone else. That would make that would be a way to get everyone to do like some bidding for you before you go through.
Do you think maybe she recommends Kevin? Is there any way we see that Kevin tries to go through this process?
I wonder if she gets to choose or they still choose.
Yeah. I don't know if he would want to.
Yeah, I don't think he would. One, he still has his kids.
Yeah.
Here he has Tommy and he has we only saw her for a heartbeat.
Oh my God.
I know it's not Amy.
Jill,
thank you. It's like, Amy's her friend. That's not Amy.
We haven't seen Amy in a long time.
Oh yeah.
Jill. I love
We
her.
thought Amy was gonna be real important. She's not. Jill, we did a name check with her, but I get it that she's just not crucial to the plot development of this season.
At least not
But but Kevin certainly is, and Kevin's got his own craziness going on as he leads up to running into his daddy. We'll get to that. Let's just talk about the Evie in the room. Start with E. It sort of tracked.
I got it.
My
I
head.
should have given you at least a courtesy laugh.
I appreciate that post thought. That was surprising, to say the least. What was going through your guys' heads when Evie popped up on the TV screen?
I was shocked that I believed it.
Yeah.
Like right up until the actual turn, I was like, no, it's probably Evie.
Never bought it. Wrote it down here in case you guys didn't believe me. Seriously did. Second I saw her, I said, no, I don't think this is another Patty situation. I really think that this is just a different woman, and he is seeing what he wants to see. I thought that this was beautifully done. I love the reveal. I love that he called Lori. I love that he's having his own struggles right now. I love the callback to talking about the psychotic breaks. This was perfect. It was perfect. I'm really glad it wasn't actually Evie. It would have made just about 0 sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it would have been very confusing since we literally saw a missile reflected in her glasses.
Yes.
Like, they would have to do some heavy lifting to explain how she survived that.
Yeah. And I'm glad it wasn't like long lost twin situation.
A reincarnation.
Yeah.
Or like,
Right.
Yeah. So Danya, who was the actual woman, regardless, she was holding up a protest sign in that window. She was holding up Surah 81. Which is from the Quran, and it's from what I understand reading it. Obviously, I'm not super familiar with the Quran, but like just doing research, it is effectively the Quran's book of Revelation, the equivalent of the book of Revelation. It's the day when all the universe will be dissolved. Like it's the end of it all. So there's a couple of key passages that I thought in there that seemed very relevant and worth discussing, because that's a pretty like clear like, hey, look at this Easter egg thing that you should research that this show's doing for us. And when the seas boil over, and when the souls are reunited, like with like, and when the girl child buried alive is asked for what sin she was slain. That passage stood out to me a lot, because it's like, we're talking about a child, female child, who sort of was buried alive by a missile. And like, what was her sin? Why was she killed? Because she spoke out? Because she dissented? Like, why? Like, what was Evie's crime?
Because she didn't love her family enough, which was
that would be her moral crime.
yeah.
Well, we're talking about the Bible.
Oh, then
We're
yes.
talking about
Then
the
yes, she
Quran. We're
didn't-
talking about religion.
Yeah.
So
She didn't
moral
love her family.
crimes.
Or didn't even care about them.
Yeah.
Like,
Maybe she
Yeah.
did. We will never really know. But I think that is really interesting, Zach. And honestly don't know quite what to make of it. The question on my mind, and I'm sure on your minds as well, is this referring to the past or the future? And is this going to be something that happens again? And I think we're going to have to probably wait 4 episodes to find out the answer for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we'll still be like, the confusion,
Yeah.
the
Well-
mystery.
Well, I hope at the end of episode 8 they tie a lot of this up for us, because we're not coming back. This is it.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that would be really mean of them.
why do you think she said there is no family? Like, did Lori tell her to say that? Danya?
When she said, I have compassion for you because you are ill.
Yeah. And
Or
there
the
is
whole-
no family. Is
Yeah.
what
But then
said.
she said there is no. Yeah,
There is no
I think
family.
Lori told her to say that because
Yeah.
it would have fit. It would have fit who Evie was.
Yeah, she constructed as soon as she started, as soon as Lori like confirmed it, that was when I knew that it wasn't. Like at first, I thought like there might be something crazy happening here because it's the leftovers and who knows. But as soon as Lori went along with it, I knew that it was that she was just playing along for his benefit because of the conversation that she brought up later. You never tell a person dealing with a psychotic break that they are being psychotic.
Also,
Right.
when you're in Melbourne, you could ask anyone where the library is, but Kevin Garvey asks a koala bear.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's like a board of tourism koala.
Yeah, I know.
Do you guys think that there is any possibility that we end this show with Kevin and Lori back together? And in any way, do you think this was a sign that Lori is supposed to be his partner again? Or are you guys team Kevin and Nora and Lori and John, and this was just, as previously mentioned, him calling his therapist?
I think this is him calling his therapist. I think Lori and John have some work to do now.
Yeah, he
Because-
drops a bomb into their
Yeah.
relationship with, why don't you ask John about the book? Click.
Yeah.
Boom.
And she clearly didn't know based off her facial expression.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he was clearly not comfortable with like her taking a call at the end of dinner from her ex-husband who's in Australia that he's writing a book about. There's going to be a huge blow up between them next week.
But Kelly, do you think...
I don't think they're meant to be together. I think it's a bigger story. I don't know if anybody's really meant to be with anybody, especially at the end of this episode. I think it's just like everybody's supposed to be kind of okay, if that makes sense. You know, I don't think anybody's going to get back together. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, we don't see, like, Kevin and Nora together again, you know?
Wow.
I mean, we saw a theoretically future Nora.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't know she was alone. We just know she in that moment was alone and pretended not to know who Kevin was.
Yeah.
But she could have stayed in Australia and just moved on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Kevin was her really. Kevin and that house were the really only ties to Jardin.
Yeah.
It's like the story of Jesus. There's not really a romantic interest with Jesus, right?
Yeah.
So I don't think.
Well, there's Mary Magdalene.
Yeah, but like, it's not like at the end of the book.
It's not Romeo and Juliet. You mean.
Yeah. She wasn't his everything. She
Yeah.
was Mary
But
Magdalene.
Kevin isn't Jesus. He's Kevin. Kevin likes to bone in airports.
He's a prophet, not a messiah.
Who doesn't?
Well, speaking of John, stick around. We have an announcement at the end of the episode. That's my way of keeping you guys until the end.
It's a big one too.
Yeah, stick around. But Kevin, so Kevin, as he goes through this chase, like the picture that was like one that was a really smart move on his part to like he like goes for proof.
Yeah.
I really liked the way that whole arc with him and Evie was written and like performed. Justin Theroux is just demonstrating like a phenomenal acting ability.
Yeah,
even more and more every episode this season. In a way that I didn't even realize he had the first 2 seasons. Like he was not to say that he wasn't good because he was, but this is next level.
He's got the chops for sure.
Yeah.
Justin Theroux, writer of such films as Tropic Thunder.
Yes, and and the DJ from Zoolander
And Rock of Ages. He wrote that.
We're not hating. We're not hating. He's an amazing
No, those
actor.
are all
This
good
is-
things.
It's just kind of incredible.
I don't know about Rock of Ages, but the rest are good things.
I thoroughly enjoyed Rock of Ages.
It's not
just
that
saying.
bad.
Yeah. Ringing endorsement. Not that bad.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
he's really got chops, and he's not the only one. I mean, Carrie Coon's got like just the most unbelievable skills.
Oh, those two just act in circles around each other. Like,
Yeah, it's really strong. The whole cast, honestly, this is a perfectly cast show, beautifully written. The musical choices this episode were out of this world.
Every episode.
Yeah, it's so good.
What did we have last week? We had
Something really memorable.
American.
I don't know.
Personal Jesus.
Personal Jesus by
Oh.
Richard Cheese.
Thank you. Personal Jesus.
Depeche Mode.
Yes. Anyway,
Wu-Tang, of course.
moving forward, like so, we got to talk. I think more directly about the blow up at the end, the fight itself. A lot of it is like it is clearly like these two. One, they like, especially whenever you're in a relationship for that as serious and as long as these two, like they know exactly where to hit to draw a blow.
She's talking about her kids, and he says maybe you should go where they are.
Like,
Talk
And he
about a
knows what that
blow.
means too.
Right.
that she kind of came here to do that.
Yeah. Oh God. I mean, I think she's gone too far previously, but in this episode, he went too far, and he didn't have her back, and it was really, really disgusting to watch the things that he said. And she was in the wrong too, but for lack of better words or a real word, he was wronger.
More wrong.
More wrong. But he
like
wasn't just
wronger.
more wrong. He was
more
wronger.
wronger.
He was wronger.
He was way more wrong.
He was wronger.
I'm with Roxy on this one.
Cool.
It like yeah, like I want because I like these two together, like in general.
Me too.
But this fight was just no holds barred, like it was like blow for blow. Like she attacks him over the book, and like he legitimately, like he actually like at her, like he read part of more of it. Like I think he was lying about reading it on the plane, right?
I think so, but wait, pause for a second because thank you for #wronger. How is this book being written? Who did he tell about the well? And about, was it all Michael? Is this all coming from Michael's
I think
memory?
he told Michael.
Matt,
Did he? I don't know if
probably.
he told Matt.
I don't think he told Matt about the well.
But I think he told Michael.
He probably
All of this stuff, everything we keep seeing, the poison, all of it.
Or
Well, Michael was
could've
there
t-
for the poison.
Yeah.
Right? But is that why they need John, Michael, and Matt? Because
They all have different
I
pieces.
feel like Matt is such a secretive, Kevin's such a secretive person. I can't believe how much is in this book without getting his actual personal account.
The
And I know
well
that they talked
is...
to Kevin Sr. too, because remember they had called him on the phone, but Kevin Sr. didn't know some of the stuff,
Yeah.
unless he did. Which I don't know how.
The well seems like his deepest, darkest thing to reveal.
Right.
And then like we have to assume none of the hotel is in there because we have to assume he didn't tell anybody about that.
Well, the well is the hotel.
Oh, then
Like the well is from the same.
yeah, then I
sequence.
guess he had to have told Michael when he woke up.
That's the only thing I can think. Where
Maybe.
Yeah.
But that was
story gets
interesting with
told.
the book. Sorry, continue. I just
No, it was because like what's in there like he says he loves it like as like more it feels like in the moment like it was more of like just a way of hitting back at her.
Yeah, I don't
but do
think he
you
really
think
loved
he
her.
actually do you think part of him likes this?
No,
The book?
The book, yeah, the
I
book
don't
and
think
its
so.
existence and the fact that they're effectively deifying.
He didn't even hesitate in burning it. If he cared about it, he would have like he was just like, "Oh, this book?" Then
Yeah, I
bu-
don't-
You know, I don't
he's
think,
under the impression that he has the only copy.
yeah.
he
That's
does
true.
have the only copy.
Well, there
Uh,
was a second copy that we think we know Kevin Sr. had a copy, but he ripped it up. But then there was another copy that we are under the impression that Michael was typing.
That's a theory.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't subscribe to that theory because the scene we saw, he was researching the Mapleton Gazette. He wasn't typing anything. That like I don't think I'm not saying he's above research. He's above typing it out. I just don't think he was doing it in that scene. That I don't.
Yeah. Well, it remains to be seen, and like I guess at that point they would have to just like rewrite it.
Yeah. Or that it'll go down to like lore of what Matt was saying.
I think though for her, just kind of getting back to this argument, she was making fun of him for the book a little bit. And that is what it is because honestly, I could see myself doing something like this. If somebody's being made out to look like the next Jesus Christ, kind of poking fun of them like, oh
for
yeah,
sure.
I can't die. And is that right? No, of course not. But then his comeback being that she should go where her kids are and him he essentially lit a room on fire and left her to burn.
Yeah.
They are not getting their deposit back.
No.
I was like, oh my god, somebody put it out. Like it was like bad enough like that you lit it, but I was like, just turn the sink on.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And he sees all the fire trucks, everything that's going on, and
He's in a complete daze. And hold on, I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
where you're about to go, and we'll get there. I can see the look on
Yeah,
your face,
like-
and trust me, we're gonna get to it.
What is it?
The more discussion, like
Past this scene, we're still.
yeah,
in this scene.
I still want to finish this scene, because the problem, like here's the thing, like Kevin's side of this, I think like he brings this like he just had he was just told by a psychiatrist who knows him and knows what he's dealing with that he just had a psychotic break, not a mental breakdown, not like I had a bad day and I'm really really frustrated, a psychotic break. And while Nora also had a heavy as hell day, she barely responded or reacted to it. And I think that's what ups Kevin's like.
But in all fairness to Nora, she's trying to talk to him in this moment. He's saying, you never talk to me. And she's like, I'm here trying to talk to you. And he's like, well, I called Lori instead, which is not what a current girlfriend wants to hear about somebody's ex-wife.
That's-
But it does come to the table, too, that, and we didn't know this is new information, with the whole Lily situation, Nora did not consult with Kevin and gave Lily away. So that was kind of a messed up thing, too.
Was
So
it that
there's
she
a lot
didn't
of-
consult with him or that he didn't stop her?
She was upset because he didn't stop her, and he said, you didn't even ask me about it. You gave Lily away.
And I think there's also, but it also circles all the way back to the why didn't you think to give me the $10,000
Right.
that we could split this together?
Together.
And wait
Something
in
so
line together.
simple like that.
That it's-
I don't think she trusts him.
And I also heading to Australia, I think a larger part of her than she cares to admit, thinks she's gonna get zapped by the thing and go wherever everyone else went. That like 45% of her is like, no, maybe if the science checks out, maybe I should just get zapped by zapped by radiation and get sent to wherever the 2% went.
I thought it was really interesting. So just to go back, one of the scientists, it's like, look, we're like, she's like confident that it works.
Dr.
So
Becker is my favorite, by the way.
I don't know where they went. Like, you might just be in space.
Right. I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about that end sequence where Kevin leaves and Nora stays in the place. As the sprinklers come on, as the water like covers her tears, so that like you honestly can't see if she's actually crying. Like it's way more like intense and visual.
She had
like the world is crying onto her.
She had a lot of faith that those sprinklers would go off.
Did she, or did she care? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess.
I think she was just like, if I'm gonna burn, I'll burn.
Which gets to the next part.
Yeah,
She had covered the smoke detector.
it went off though.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah,
went
she had
off a
covered
little
it so it
later.
wouldn't pick up on her cigarette smoke. Then you light an entire forest fire in your room.
We heard it go off.
Yeah.
But outside, somebody references the explosion.
And planes being grounded.
Yeah,
Yeah.
planes grounded, the explosion. I don't think, I'm curious with you guys, I don't think that the explosion was upstairs by any means.
I don't think the
Are we-
explosion was
No, I don't-
Nora's room.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think so.
It could have been on Nora's floor, and that's what triggered the
If
sprinklers.
there was an explosion in Nora's room, why wouldn't we be able to get cabs? The explosion's obviously somewhere else, and it has to do with why planes have been grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
I agree.
People would be freaking out a lot more too at that hotel if it was there. I
yeah,
feel like you would
there's
see-
no one like running around. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
the people were mildly walking out of the hotel.
So, not sorry to be insensitive. I just don't know how else to phrase this. Are we thinking like a 9/11 situation? Are we
a
thinking
terrorist attack of some kind. That seems like the most reasonable, and just not like the most like logical based on the information that we have been given. Like something that had to ground planes. Yeah, I know in my lifetime that's the only incident where all planes have been grounded across the country.
That is true.
Which seems like what they have implied.
Is there
Might be different in Australia though.
true? Is there no seriously? Is there any chance that the people who have departed are coming back this season?
I won't say zero. But I think
That
that
would
the
cause an
writers,
explosion.
like, and the writers of this show are always good about diverting like your expectations. That doesn't seem like where they're going.
I agree with that.
I wouldn't like it either. I feel like.
So what?
That would almost necessitate another season.
right.
Yeah.
What?
The comebackers.
Unless we did the final episode like 10 years later or whatever. Fast forward. What? This explosion of some sort. What is its purpose then, in terms of plot development? Is it to make sure that Nora stays here until she's an old lady? Is it to help us so that Kevin and Nora get back together because they're both stuck here? Is it to why are we putting in the plot?
I think Kevin definitely needs to stay in Australia for October 15th to them, or October 14th.
15th in Australia.
But would that mean it would happen first in? It
happens at the same time
time.
everywhere,
Oh, all right.
but it's a different date in Australia. At
Okay,
certain times
so
of the day.
okay, that's what I was missing. It'll all happen at the exact same time. But for whatever reason, he needs to be in Melbourne with his dad and not in Mapleton or Jarden. So plot-wise, that's what's keeping him there. It seems like Nora is just staying in Australia forever, if we were to believe the end of the first episode.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
seems the implication that she just never goes back.
The linear, if you want to take that linear, and that's not a clone or a separate person
or the alternate Earth Nora after she goes through the machine or some
Or she
weird
didn't return and
craziness.
then come back?
Let's call this official predictions
Let's go.
time.
Good.
And I want to open up to the chat for your predictions as well.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV.
Love this active chat today.
Yeah. Oh, you
Killing
guys are awesome. Also, the fact that there's 88 people makes the Back to the Future nerd in me very happy. Brent William Henry says Matt goes to Australia to bring Kevin back.
But how's he gonna get there if planes are grounded?
Yeah.
It's fair. Like the science like nerd in me like jumped to like something from Futurama for a moment and stick with me. When it, like what it like another like not directly like leftovers bent, but like gasoline and fossil fuels become inert, and so vehicles can no longer take off. Nora was riding a bike, although there were cars driving.
But maybe
It's something
they were
that's something so weird that the show will
solar-powered.
definitely not do.
Yeah.
It just like popped into my brain.
Something going on in the chat. A lot of predictions having to. Jay does it. Is saying something. Also, CeeLo Athenis. Sorry, I pronounced your guys' names wrong. Talking about the Guilty Remnant and bringing the Guilty Remnant back up, even though Meg is probably gone and Evie's definitely gone. Do we think that we're going to see them again?
They could be behind the explosion because I feel like this is the season for the GR to come back
Possibly.
around the date.
But what they had threatened previously on the bridge was an explosion, which never happened. So I feel like
I could see this being another chapter of the Guilty Remnant.
Yeah, they seemed like they were a very big organization, that there could be other factions
Or even if they weren't a huge organization, I feel like all of their beliefs were published.
Yeah,
that
well, we
somebody
had
else
those-
could take up the mantle.
We've already seen a little bit of that. We had the protesters in Miracle that threw the fake chemicals in the lake. Those were they were protesting on behalf of the Guilty Remnant.
right. Chase in the chat says the more we talk about it, I'm starting to think Matt might die. People earlier were saying somebody has to die. What do you guys think about that? Are we going to lose any of our main characters?
It holds up. That this show this dark. I feel like we've gone almost too long without somebody dying.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think Kevin or Nora do because we saw future Nora. And they mentioned Kevin to future Nora, so I don't think and they didn't mention him in a past sense. But I wouldn't be surprised if Matt does.
Yeah, I mean, do we think Kevin Senior is on the chopping block?
I think so.
So we got the two Kevins together at the very end of this with Grace, Grace, who is basically about to become Kevin Jr.'s most devoted follower.
She's not turning herself in, right?
No.
No, not after finding that out. The question is, which Kevin did Kevin Senior say? Because the big thing where we left his plot line was, you just got the wrong Kevin. He thinks he's the one. At least earlier in the episode, he thought he was the one who was the savior.
So
the one
either
destined to
he
save
went
the world.
through that episode and changed his mind, or he still thinks it's him.
Yeah, and then we'll find that out.
Yeah.
I guess the next time we get to see those characters, whether that's next week or the weekend or soon. I actually missed the preview.
On the if Matt died, I think it would be very telling if Matt died and was dying in front of Kevin Jr. and Kevin had to, whether he believed it or not, said it's all true. Because I think a lot of people talk about where the afterlife and meaning came from. And part of it is, what do you tell a dying person? Do you let a dying person die thinking that it's all nothingness? Or it could be all nothingness? Or do you tell them a lie? Or do you tell them a lie so they smile one last time?
I've always thought you tell them a lie.
Yeah, so that Kevin might be telling him a lot. We might find ourselves in a position where Matt's dying in front of Kevin and Kevin tells him a lie. The book's all true.
I was just reading a story about a woman whose husband was dying, and right before he died, her final words to him was that Trump was impeached, and he took a nice breath. Regardless of your personal beliefs, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she agreed that you should lie.
Yeah, you should lie to a dying person. In someone's dying moments, you should lie, and there's a level of religion to that.
I don't know if I agree with that,
Yeah.
but yes, I know a lot of people do.
I think it depends on the lie.
Yeah,
I don't know. But, yeah.
but that's my out there prediction. That we'll somehow
see.
see that exact scene, because also we don't know where Matt's been for the last couple days since they left Australia. He could have went to Australia after Kevin to get the book, or to follow Kevin, because he knows that Kevin Senior's in Australia or anything like that. That he could have got there before the planes got grounded.
Interesting, because I know none of us saw the previews for next week. Brent William Henry. I saw a preview of Senior drowning Junior.
Ooh.
Maybe they were testing to see if he dies. Like Grace.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would bet you anything that ends in Junior kicking the shit out of Senior.
Yeah, I agree.
And going that only works in Miracle, and also I'm not the savior.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any last thoughts as we wrap out, guys?
Did Jesus's power or whatever work
Tower
just
Man?
No.
Oh, real.
Just
real
real.
Jesus.
Actual.
Did he work? Did it just work in Bethlehem, Or did he?
No,
he was.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
Well, we don't actually know that this is just a miracle. That was an early prediction of mine, but remember that he also came back to life elsewhere. He was shot by, was it when he was shot by John that he left and still lived or something? Where...
That was in Miracle.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that was all
it
in
wasn't
Miracle.
It was the fact that he couldn't do it to himself. Sorry, I was forgetting my theories. That only he couldn't kill himself. Yeah.
But Matt believes that it's only in Miracle. That's where that theory
Because
is.
Matt believes,
okay.
because of his wife.
Yes, Matt believes that Miracle is sacred ground, and that's where Kevin
But
is.
then wouldn't that be in the book?
Probably
I think
is.
it was.
But if that's in the book, then they only got that one page.
Yeah, they only
in
had
the
that
book.
one page. That's why they killed the.
Well, Senior
wrong
read
Kevin.
most of it,
Yeah,
but
but I'm
that
just
doesn't
talking
mean
about
he
Grace.
subscribes to it. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
why she killed the other person.
But if Senior's drowning Junior, either way, we're gonna.
Safe.
I knocked over an empty cup, which is a good sign that we should
Nailed it.
wrap out this show. So thank you guys so much for joining us for the Leftovers After Show at AfterBuzz TV. We'll be back next week to talk about episode 5 of the final season. We're over the hump, guys. We're halfway through this season.
Dang.
Only 4 episodes left. Over. Sorry.
I feel like Roxy has something to say about next week.
Well, I do, because we are over the hump, but we have our most exciting episode yet because Kevin Carroll, aka John, will be joining us in studio next week.
Yeah.
I hear that it could be a big episode for him, so there's gonna be a lot to talk about. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. We're going to talk to him all about everything that he's gone through, like last season, this season,
Yes.
and what happened to the character of John, who went through a massive transformation in the 3-year jump.
Yes, and we'll try to ask all your questions, so make sure to tweet them at us and
Yeah,
whatnot.
absolutely. And we'll be tweeting out like more about how you can get your questions asked on the show as we get closer to next week. Until then, I've been your host, Zach Wilson. Find me on Twitter and Instagram at @ZachWilson.
I'm Roxy Striar. You guys can find me everywhere at Roxy Striar.
Hey, I'm Kelly McInerney. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at HollyWeirdo.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at Steve Kaufmann. That is KAUFMANN.
All right, guys, this has been the Leftovers After Show at AfterBuzz TV. Thanks for geeking out with us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.